Mr. Ryan, how do you justify the salaries of the school trustees?
In a time when there are cutbacks at every level, I do not justify those salaries. I believe that that is something that needs to be reviewed immediately by the new board, whoever they may be, because when everybody else is being asked to suffer, take jobs away in certain instances where people are actually working with the students, they're losing jobs, then the trustees need to also be part of that declining pay.
Thank you. Resulting?
We currently base trustee stipends on the average of the three cities, Poco, Burquitlam, and Port Moody. It's been that way for a while. And when many years we didn't take an increase, neither did the cities. So when the cities balance out the way they do it, we end up taking a large chunk. And it might be something that the new board would like to revisit.
Thank you. Ms. Liu?
For two reasons. Number one is the salary should be in line with other school board trustees. Number two, our school board and school district have been suffering the huge deficit in 3 years in a row, and the student service program got cut. And at the same time, the trustee got a pay increase. I just think it's not fair.
Thank you. Ms. Walls?
And part of the problem is we didn't know that there was a raise that came through, because it comes through automatically as a description of how our pay structure is set. And I think once the new board gets back meeting, I think it will certainly be on the table for discussion. But in light of that, for the last 3 years, we have taken away our educational fund, which we put back into the classrooms. So I think we need to look at both of those areas.
Thank you. Mr. Dennison, if the child is not ready to advance their grade in elementary school, is there something the school board can do to keep them at their educational level?
I think this is a difficulty that is increasing, and some of the teachers that you know probably could confirm that. We need pull-out supports to bring some of these students back up to the level that we would like them to be, and I don't know if that's entirely possible, but we need to give them the time and the effort to try to accomplish that. Teachers are stretched pretty thin these days to try to administer to kids that are in, a few years behind in math, as an example.
Thank you. Ms. Wiggins?
I think this is an area where we have to honor parents as experts in the education of their children. When my son was to enter kindergarten, we held him back, and that helped him immensely. And I think that we need to work as teams to look at what is the best fit and situation for each child. There is a certain amount of time students have to graduate from school, so that needs to definitely be taken into consideration. But the board needs to respect and honor parents, teachers, and students all together.
Thank you. Ms. Bernard?
I believe it's the parent responsibility to make sure that their children are being or not being advanced. They need to have discussions with the teachers that are in charge of them. Teachers have gone to school for some time to know how to recognize where a child is or isn't in their education level. And that's when the teacher and the parents need to really have a heart-to-heart and discuss that. The school board would obviously support the teacher and the parents and make sure that they are communicating with one another.
Thank you. Ms. Hobson?
Yes, I believe that the parents need to play a very large role in this decision, and it would not be an easy decision for anyone to make, to hold a child back, but sometimes it is in the child's best interest to do that when they're young, in order for them to grasp the essentials that they require in order to advance.
Thank you. This next question is directed towards Ms. Outake, so you get the first shot at it. Why and who recently hired the new superintendent, Patricia Gartland, before the new board are elected on the 15th of November?
We went through a process once we knew that the current superintendent was leaving. He set the date that he was leaving, and it's quite an involved process and takes quite a bit of time to go through. So we felt that we know the district, we know the people in it, we had the time and we were ready to interview, and we made that decision. The new board will be working with the new superintendent, and I think that's probably quite appropriate.
Thank you. It goes back to Ms. South.
The process of hiring the new superintendent is a 3 to 4 month process. It's very involved, and to delay it for that many months doesn't make a lot of sense, especially because it would take us into the Christmas and then into the new year, right into budget time. And we have a new secretary treasurer, and we are now having to replace assistant superintendent who's moved on. So there was a lot of moving around, and we felt that it was a process that we needed to deal with and get on with right away.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, did you want that question, or you want me to go on to a new one?
I'll take that.
Sure.
I find it actually quite strange that the current school board would go ahead with hiring a new superintendent in light of also needing a new secretary treasurer. Two of the key people that were involved in giving us the deficit budgets, also in line with the current board not getting the right answers with the budgets, and now they go and hire new people before an election when they might not be back afterwards.
Thank you. Ms. Liu, you get the next question. What is your opinion of what the primary duty of a school trustee? I think there's something missing at the end. Yes. What in your opinion is the primary duty of a school trustee?
It's overseeing the project, plans, and the policy, and the most important is budget about the school board.
Thank you. Ms. Wallace?
Well, I think it's probably our mistake. Most people don't really know what a school trustee does. And it's the overall umbrella for the district. We set some policies, but not a lot of policies. We leave that to the district administration. We oversee the funding formulas that we put together for our budget season. But a lot of it is getting involved with the community. We've done some learning land and neighborhood outreaches. We've looked at land sales. We visit schools. We attend public functions, visit schools, school activities. I can't even begin to tell you. We sit on many liaison committees that we meet with the city, with different organizations in the community. It's a busy job.
Thank you. Mr. Dennison?
Well, the primary job of the trustees, of course, is fiscal accountability. I think there's really no question about that. But as has been mentioned, there's more to that. And a big part of the job as well, is strategic plans. We do have a vision in our district, and it hasn't been acted upon a great deal, but we can develop strategic plans based on that and then align resources to it.
Thank you. Ms. Wickens?
The primary job of a trustee is to engage their community so that they can make policy, set plans, and oversee the budget that reflects the values and the priorities of their community.
Thank you. Ms. Cahoon? After school care, who gets the space? Non-profits or for-profits?
Well, I was fortunate enough to be a stay-home mom, so I never had to deal with before or after school care, but I know other parents that did. And as long as the people that are in there taking care of the children are licensed and the appropriate people to be monitoring and watching and educating the children at that level, I'm not familiar if nonprofit versus profit is better or worse. I'm more concerned about who those people are that are going to be taking care of those small children that are in there.
Thank you. Ms. Hobson?
I have to say I agree that the people are more important than whether they're for-profit or not-for-profit. I think parents will look around and make a decision as to where they want their children, and probably the cost is not the primary driver. They probably want the best care for their children. So I would be in favor of interviewing the caregivers before they were accepted into a situation where they would be on school property.
Thank you. Ms. Soudan?
We have both for-profit and non-profit daycare in our district. And I think the question is more directed towards the process. And I believe that it needs to be a fair process, that everyone has opportunity to apply for spaces in our schools, and that everybody is given equal opportunity through that process.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, we're going to split the question at this point. So do you support the RFP, the request for proposal system for granting leases for those childcare facilities?
One more time.
Do you know what an RFP is? Request for proposal? Do you support the RFP system for granting leases for those childcare facilities?
This is an interesting question, and I think that, as the previous speaker said, what's most important is that we are getting the right people actually in there at the time. So if we put it out for a proposal to give them that lease, then at least we can find out a little more information.
Thank you. Ms. Outake?
I would support the fairest way to do it, providing everybody that was applying had quality daycare, were qualified and licensed, and that it was affordable for parents. If that takes an RFP situation, then I would support that. If there's a better way to make sure we're fair with everybody, then I would support that. So,
Thank you. Ms. Liu? A request for proposal. It's a system where a proposal is sent out and people respond to it. So it's in other words, people have to respond to a specific request that the city lays out the parameters of.
So including profit and non-profit.
It would be both, yes.
As a working mother raising 2 children on my own, and I know how much burden it will be for sending 2 children to the after-school care. So if it's possible, I fully supported a non-profit organization to run daycare at school, because I know how hard it is for the working parents.
Ms. Wallace, we're going to give you a different question. If you are elected as school trustee, what will you do to ensure transparency of decision, maximize direction of funds to schools, and reduce inefficiencies?
Okay, well, I think we're already in that direction, which I'm very pleased about. And I think to continue on with what we have just started in the last couple of months is the transparency of reporting from the Finance Committee through the Secretary-Treasurer to the public on, if possible, on a weekly board meeting or bi-weekly, whichever we're going to be setting up to structure. And I think the accountability has been made very, very clear. We hired a new Secretary-Treasurer who has done an amazing job putting into practices that I think will show a lot more accountability and have responsibility for people for certain budgets, and also reporting when they are over or under the budgets.
Thank you. Mr. Dennison?
Yes, our financial subcommittee right now has 2 of the trustees on it. I'd like to see that increased to 3. I think 2 is an inadequate number, quite frankly, and I believe we would have at least 3 people with the background that could do well at that. These trustees need to have the time to spend in it, not just exchanges of emails and something done in their spare time. It takes a lot of effort to go through those financial reports, ask the questions, understand what's going on. And then from there to understand the challenges, the risks, and even the opportunities that may come out of it.
Thank you. Ms. Wiggins?
you just repeat the question so I know I'm answering it correctly?
If you are elected as school trustee, what will you do to ensure transparency of decisions, maximize direction of funds to schools, and reduce inefficiencies?
As far as transparency goes, I think it will be our responsibility as trustees to actually engage the public. So we need to think of more creative ways to do that through our website and various other things. As far as efficiency goes, I did ask our current board if they had mechanisms in place to ensure decisions and things were happening at our district level effectively and efficiently, and I still haven't gotten an answer to that, but I will definitely work on that once elected. And to ensure that all monies are spent directed in our classroom and as much out of the district level as possible, for sure.
Thank you. Ms. Cahoon, I got a new question for you. School trustees have taken a pay increase of 30% over 2 years, while staff budgets have been cut. Are you willing to forego any trustee increase?
Yes. I would not feel good in my heart taking an increase when I know other people's jobs are being cut, funds are being depleting, and it's just unacceptable in my mind. It would be that way with anywhere in my own household. I wouldn't be saying, I'm going to keep taking, but you guys can't have anything. That just isn't logical to me. So I would not take an increase.
Thank you. Ms. Hodson?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. School trustees have taken a pay increase of 30% over 2 years, while staff budgets have been cut. Are you willing to forego any trustee increase?
I think the answer to that is absolutely. And I think that the pay for, or the stipend for trustees needs to be examined to make sure that we're in line with what's happening in other jurisdictions.
Thank you. Ms. Selby?
I think there is an opportunity here that we have to sit down and figure out exactly how we are going to pay trustees. In the past, we were in trouble because we were actually in a position where we had to vote for our own raises, which isn't working either. So that's the reason we connected it to the other city council increases. Maybe that's not the best way either. So it's something that we need to talk about and work out so it's fair for everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, same question, please.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I'm actually quite confused with the connected to city councils thing that was brought up by this board, because apparently it's, according to Ms. Wallace, connected to 3 of the cities, but there are 5 municipalities or areas in our school district. I'm wondering why all 5 wouldn't have been included when that was done. But the other thing that was said was, well, it's an automatic increase. Well, if you had an increase of 14 or 16% the first time, why didn't you fix it before the next 14 or 16% came through the second